Welcome to the Word for 2021. Today we're in Numbers chapter 32. In this chapter, the Israelites are ready to cross over the Jordan into the Promised Land. But there are three tribes, the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. They wanted to stay on the east side of the Jordan. They wanted that to be their inheritance and not experience an inheritance in the new Promised Land that God was giving. So they came to Moses and they said, we like this land. We like this land where we are at. So we want this to be our inheritance. In verse 5, they said to Moses, do not make us cross the Jordan. We like it here. Well, Moses then reminded them of what took place over the last 40 years and why they were spent 40 years in the wilderness. He was telling them, do not make the same mistake your fathers did. Well, the people from those tribes then said, well, we will go and help our brothers take the land, but we want this land that we are in right now to be our inheritance. We already know it. We already like it. We're enjoying it. Our children and our wives are safe here. We're comfortable, so we want this to be our inheritance. Verse 20, Moses, he said, all right, you may stay and make this your land as long as you first fight with your brothers to take the promised land. Verse 23, he then said, but if you fail to do this, you will be sinning against the Lord, and you may be sure that your sin will find you out. Satan's biggest lie has always been that we can violate God's laws, disobey his commands, and get away with it. Satan says you can do whatever you want and you will not suffer any consequences. But the truth is that there are in this life and in the life to come definite consequences to our decisions. Our choices always have consequences. For some of the choices of sin, then there's a physical consequence, a sexually transmitted disease, the destruction of our body because of substance abuse. Now we understand that not all illnesses are because of sin, but sin will affect our physical bodies. Sin can bring about a wrecked relationship, the loss of a friend, a ruined marriage, the loss of respect of our children. Sin can also bring about the loss of a job. It can bring about the loss of freedom. You can go to jail. It can bring about the loss of trust when people realize that your word is not worth anything. And there can be lost opportunities where what you really were made to do, you're not able to do because of unconfessed sin. And it can also affect a conscience. Your conscience won't give you relief because of your sin. You can't sleep. Your appetite suffers, and you will experience depression and despair. We read about this from David in the book of Psalms. The Cathedral Quartet once did a song with these verses. Sin will take you farther than you ever wanted to go. Sin will keep you longer than you wanted to stay. And sin will cost you more than you wanted to pay. There are always consequences. Here are some facts about our acts. First, God knows what we do. In Hebrews chapter 4, verse 13, we read that nothing in creation is hidden from God. God sees everything. And God cares about what you do. You can read about that in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 6. And what we do will be made known. In Luke chapter 8, verse 17, nothing is secret that will not be exposed. When will it be exposed? When will what we do be made known? Well, first, we will know it immediately. It will rob us of our peace. In Psalm 51, verse 3, David said that I recognize my sinful needs and they haunt me day and night. God knows about it now, and later he will hold us accountable for it. In Ecclesiastes 12:14, God will bring every work into judgment. So we know it, and God knows it, and others may become aware of it too. So we need to understand that sin always has a cost. There are consequences for every choice. And for these Israelites, the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, they wanted to stay where they were and not experience all that God had for them. They made a choice, but as we read through the rest of Scripture, their choice brought about trouble for them. We'll read about that later as we continue in the Word for 2021. Thank you for joining me on the Word for 2021.